Welcome to part 2 of Segways and Navigation Controllers. So what we're going to do next is we're going to add a navigation controller to show you how you can go ahead and segue between views using the navigation controller. So first thing I need to do is I need to go ahead and click on my red view controller. That is going to be my root view controller, so I'll go ahead and select that. I'll click on editor, embed it in, and I will go ahead and select a navigation controller. And if you look at the left, basically it has added a navigation controller to our scene. And then you can see that back buttons have been added to both our yellow and our green screens. So I will go ahead and run the application now. So our app is coming up. We'll go ahead, click on my button, and now you can see that basically what's happening is the views are moving from left to right. So what we're doing here is red will push to yellow, and our yellow will go ahead and push to green. So I will go ahead and click on my button. That takes me back to my green. If I hit dismiss, it takes me all the way back to red. Click on button again takes me to green. I can also hit my back, and that'll take me all the way back to my red view controller. So the dismiss button will still work. The document outline now includes our navigation controller scene, which includes a navigation bar. So if I scroll over to the right, there's actually this navigation bar that now appears. You can go ahead and you can select various attributes if you click on the attribute inspector to go ahead and update that navigation bar. And every UI view controller has a navigation item that you can use to customize its navigation bar. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and select my view controller scene or my red navigation bar. And after I've selected it, I am going to go ahead and change the title to red. And I will go ahead and run my application now. So we'll go ahead, click stop. Click on button. Oh, let me see here. I need to go back in here, move down to the next line so red appears. And then if you scroll over to the right, our red appears as the back button. So if we go ahead and run our application, go ahead, click on button. Now instead of selecting back, it basically takes me back to the previous view controller. So if I wanted to go ahead and change what the back button actually states, I can go ahead and change that property. I'll just go ahead and type in go to red. So now what'll happen is when I go ahead and run this, so we'll go ahead, rerun the application again. Instead of red, our back button should now say go to red. So I'll click on my button. Now it says go to red. If I click on my button again, the last one is still set to back. Okay, so when a navigation controller is added to the scene, the interface builder adds only a navigation item to our root view controller. So what we want to do is we want to add navigation items to both our red and to our yellow items. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to go ahead and find navigation. Item, and I will just drop it into my first scene, into my yellow, and then I will go ahead and select another one and add it into my green, and then I'll go ahead and select my yellow one. And I will go ahead and add a yellow title. And then I will go into my green and I will go ahead and add a green title. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and say back to yellow. For my title right here. Okay, so basically we have those navigation items added. So the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and add a button over to the right. And what that is called, it is called a button bar. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and search for a button bar item, and we're going to just go ahead and drag and drop it to the right on our green. So there we go, we've selected the item. There's various system items that are available. If I click on the down button, I can change it to an add. If I go ahead and click on redo, it'll go ahead and change it to redo. So the other thing it does is it allows you to customize your buttons. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go in and update my title to pop for the button. And what you see is the system item has been set to a custom right now. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and wire this new bar button to my unwind segue. So I'll just go ahead and control click it and drag it up to my unwind segue. And I will go ahead and select my unwind segue. And then I will go ahead and delete my dismiss button. Okay, so we will go ahead and run our application now and see what happens. Okay, so I'll go ahead, click on my button. It says go to red up above, click on the yellow button. My button does not appear. If I click on pop, it takes me all the way back to red. And then the other way I can go is back to yellow and back to red that way. So a lot of times there's something called large titles. So we can go ahead and specify large titles in our attribute inspector. So what I want to do is I want to scroll over to the left and I will go ahead and select the navigation bar. And then what I want to do after that is I want to go ahead and select prefer large titles. So now if I look at the other items, the titles have become large. So we have our red title, we have our yellow title, and we have our green title. A lot of times what you'll want to do is you'll want to have your main view controller be always red. So I will go ahead and select that one and I will set that to always. And then any subsequent views, you usually want those to not be large titles. So I'll click on Never. That'll revert back to yellow. And my green has now, I'll go ahead and revert back to that to Never also. So I will go ahead and run the application now. Go ahead and click on my button. Click on my button again. You can see the small titles. If I go click on pop, the large red title appears for my red button. So that's the use of large titles. And then what we're going to do next is a lot of times you'll want to go ahead and pass information from one controller to another before segue takes place. So in order to do that, what we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and drag a text field into our red view controller. So let me just go ahead and find a text field. And I will go ahead and add it above my bar. I won't set any constraints on it at all. And then what I need to do is I need to create an outlet back into my view controller code. So I'll go ahead and click on that, and I'll control click from that label into my view controller. It's going to be an outlet. The name is going to be text field, and then it is the type is a UI text field, so I will just go ahead and click connect. So now I have that outlet established. So I will go ahead and close my code. So what I'm going to do next is every UI view controller has a method called prepared, which is called before a segue from the view controller takes place. So basically this is where we are actually going to go ahead and pass the information that is in our text field. We're going to go ahead and pass that information into our yellow view controller. So I will go ahead and click on my view controller in Swift, and I will go ahead and type in our func, and we want to prepare, and I'll go ahead and select the second one there. I want to make sure I override it, so I'll add my override. I'll go ahead and delete that. And what I'm going to do is I need to specify my destination segue, which is going to be my yellow segue, its navigation item, and its title. And what I'm going to set that to is to anything that's typed into my text field on my red view controller, in my red view. So let me go ahead and run the application. And I will go ahead and click in, type in go to Old Yeller, and click on my button, and now it's updated my navigation bar title as go to Old Yeller. So basically that is how you would pass information from one view controller to another view controller, is by using that prepare function. So this is the end of part 2. So what we're going to get into in part 3 is creating programmatic segues.